So this is, I have a couple more skeins of the loop yarn. This loop yarn came on the market, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And I found it in the store and realized it was a great way to learn how to knit, or to knit without actually knowing how to knit. And it comes in all these fluffy yarns like the one you have, different colors, and there's several different brands. So the one we all have is Bernat Alize Blanket Easy yarn. And I'm pretty sure this is found at Joanne has a lot of different loop yarn. Michael's does not seem to carry the loop yarn in their stores right now, but you can buy it, I think, through their website. There's some other brands. This one's called Loopity Loops, and it's just a different brand, but it's the same thing. It's loop yarn, has the loops built in, and they have different colors. So the only thing you have to be careful of for when you're picking out loop yarn for different projects is, especially for what you want to make sure you get enough, because some of the skeins of yarn are much smaller and some are larger. So like I have this Crayola yarn and it's probably half the size of this one. So if you're buying some other brand of yarn, just be sure that you get at least the close to the same number of yards. So like this one has 18.2 and the one we have is around 18. But like some of the skeins, like I said, are really small and they might be only like 7 or 8 yards. So that can also be why they're cheaper in price because they're half the size. So if you want to open up your loop yarn, I already made the sample with this and I took it back out. So my yarn is all out. So what you want to do is find the one end of your yarn. It doesn't matter which one, but as you can see, you know, the yarn has these loops pre-built in, which makes it easy to finger knit. And we're going to be learning two of the basic stitches today. And we call it the stocking stitch and the garter stitch. And they are basically opposite of one another. So let me know when you're all ready. You put your hand up if you're ready. Everybody, is everybody ready? We all ready? Okay. I think everybody's pretty much ready. All right. So the first step is we are going to, our scarf is going to be 10 loops wide. So we're going to count 10 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And like hold the last loop with your finger so you know this is your 10th loop. And then this is your working, everything beyond that is called your working yarn. So when I refer to it, I'll just say your working yarn. And this is your foundation row. So just like in crochet or knitting, you're going to have this foundation row, and that's what you're starting with.
Yeah, and make sure they're all straight, right?
Oh,
Chris?
yeah. If you see how mine, I try to make them all straight and flat so that they're not twisted. You don't want to be all twisted up, because then the twists will show in your work. So then to start, this is row 1 or your foundation row. Your row 2, to do that, you take the next loop in your loop yarn, working yarn, and put it, starting with the 10th loop, put it from the back through the front, through to the front. And then take the next loop and just work all the way across using each of the loops in your working yarn, working into the previous loops, and always passing from the back up through the front. And then pull them up nice, because you want to keep them in row so you don't lose any of the loops and miss them in the next row. Does that make sense?
No. Would you show that one more time, please?
So you just take the loop. Oh, hold on. Decline. I was getting a call. Sorry. Come on. Why are you sideways now? Now I'm sideways. Come on. Whoop. My phone got a call and then so now it's sideways.
Do it, Steve.
Not sure why it's not flipping. Sorry about that. Ah, there we go. Finally.
One, two, three.
You're basically taking the 11th and putting it in the 10th and the 12th and the 9th and
Yes.
13th and the 8th.
Oh, okay. I don't think I did that right then.
I didn't either.
Okay.
I did not understand that.
Sorry. All right, let's go back.
I'm trying to undo mine.
So you can easily just pull them back out.
How?
So I have my 10th loop.
What do you pull on?
The loops.
I mean, all right,
You can, if you hold your foundation row and you can pull on the working yarn to pull them back out.
all right, now,
So yeah, you take the 11th loop and put it through the 10th going from, let me see.
Right to left.
I'm passing it through from back to front through the loop. So make sure you're going from the back of the loop to the front of the loop. Right?
Okay. The
And
back
then
is what's resting on the table.
yeah, the back is what's resting on the table. So go from the back, the table, through towards you.
Okay.
And then take the next loop in your working yarn and work in the 9th loop. And then work in the next one in your working yarn and work in the 8th loop. And you put one loop through each of the loops going back to the first loop.
Can you repeat that, please? This is Joyce.
Repeat what?
Can you repeat
6,
going
7,
backwards?
So we're going
10.
working from the 10th loop, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, and we're putting our working yarn through each of those loops, going down through the loops you just did.
All right.
Do you
So,
see how I'm doing it?
So 11 comes to 12. I mean,
No.
11 comes to 10. What does 12 do?
12
to
goes
9.
into 9. And
Well,
then
isn't
13th goes into 8. Can you see how? So I have these worked, the first 4. And here's my working yarn. And I'm working them into each of the loops, the previous loops that we counted out. You guys can see my hands, right?
Mhm.
Not my face.
Yes, I see your hands.
Okay. Does that make sense?
No.
No?
Okay.
Who said no?
I did.
I did. Joyce.
Hold up what you got. Let me see what you
Well,
got.
I'm stuck here from 11 into 10. And then
And then the
you-
next one in the working yarn, the next in the working yarn goes in the 9th, the one next to it.
on the right.
Yeah, we're working from, if you count it out from left to right, you're working from right to left now.
Okay, yeah. So right, so I took the 10 and put it through 9.
You take 11 and put it through.
We're not working the loops that we counted out with each other. We're using the working yarn and we're putting it through the loops in the previous row.
Oh, well, that makes a big difference.
Yes. You are doing binding off.
No, It's
That
going
looks
nowhere
good,
fast.
Denise.
Oh, mine doesn't look like that at all.
It doesn't? It was, oh,
Hold it up so we can see.
I can't quite see it. Up higher.
no.
Yeah.
I
Um,
put them back through the ones we counted off. We weren't supposed to do that.
No.
Yes, you are supposed to
Yes,
put them through
yes.
the ones you counted off, but you're always going from the table towards you. It looks like you have some going downwards.
Okay, I'll take them out.
Does this look right? Can you hear me?
Hold it up.
Yeah, Trish, hold it up. I think so. Can you make your loops all facing one direction?
Oh,
Actually, if they're holding it up, you're seeing the.
It should look something like this when
Yeah.
you get
That's
it
pretty.
done, okay?
Okay,
All
so,
the loops, you pull the loops up and they should all be facing up.
8.
Yeah. So the front looks like this, but the
Yeah.
back looks like Tukey's. See, Tukey, you're showing us your back.
yes, I'm showing you the back.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
backs have little lumps in them, more lumps, and the front is flat. And it should be consistent across the row because you're doing it the same way.
Yeah, but I missed one.
Oh,
Yeah. That sometimes you should count when you get to the end. Sometimes you want to count to make sure you still have like 10 loops.
yeah, that's what I always say is that after every row or every couple rows, count your loops to make sure you still have your 10 loops. And if you look on the back, you can sometimes see if you missed a loop or something too, or on the front.
I am not getting it. Can
No, I'm not getting it either.
Okay,
can-
Can
Why don't you
hold
show
yours
it
up,
again?
Joyce?
Okay, I have my first one, which is number 11, go over number 10. And then what? Do I take the
And you
work,
take the next loop in the working yarn and put it in the 9th loop.
go underneath and go on, okay.
You should always be going underneath from under to towards you.
Okay. But mine is so twisted.
Well, you want to make it flat.
yeah, as you're doing your working yarn, you want to make it flat because it is twisted. So as you're doing it, untwist it.
Okay.
Cora, were you able to get
I'm
yours?
still trying to untwist. Nope, I'm not doing too well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I think that's it. I think mine's really, really twisted. I think that's the
Yeah,
problem.
you need to untwist it.
Okay.
Patricia,
Okay,
how's
so-
yours?
Okay, so I put it from the back through and pull it towards me.
Yes.
Pull it towards you and then up, so it lays down.
Okay.
Like on the table, and then
Yeah.
do the next one.
How's everybody else? Jane, do you have yours?
no.
No?
I'm trying now. And
Maybe let Chris see what you're doing. Can you do that?
I couldn't see it, Jane.
I have 11, it looks like. Woo.
what I understand is then just on the right is all the material and then you're
Whoa, we messed up here.
no, because this, you're taking the loop and going through that one, like
Yeah, you're working your way back across. the row.
backwards, yeah. And then the next one goes into the next one. right?
Right.
The next one, yeah, you just keep going across.
How come yours is so flat and nice? Mine is so grumpy.
You kind of gotta work at it.
Oh, okay.
Mine's looking a lot better now. How's this look?
Yes.
That's perfect.
That
You
looks
do
good.
mine.
Yeah, once you catch on, then it's easy.
Well, I caught on for the first row,
Until
but that's
she,
about it.
until she teaches you the next stitch.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
It looks good most of the way, but then there's one part that looks like it's got kind of a hole in it. Right here.
Did you miss a loop, maybe?
I didn't, I still have 10, but it just doesn't look.
Can I see the back?
Gosh, how many rows do you have?
I mean, sometimes it does do that. Sometimes you do get little gaps in there.
Okay, I
Um,
just,
Because
many
the
ro-
loops are really big, so sometimes it just does that. But Denise, we're doing 3 rows of the stocking stitch, and then we were gonna change, so you might have an extra row.
think so now. 1, 2, 3, I got,
So for anybody who's already done, you can continue to the next row the same way by going back the other direction now, and you're still sticking the loops from the back to the front with your working yarn and working your way across.
When you said 4 rows, are you counting the foundation row as 1 row, Chris?
Yeah, it's 3 stocking stitches, and then we do a garter.
Okay.
So yeah, including the foundation row. So- So when you have the 3 rows, it's going to look like this.
Ready?
So how many rows is this now? Is this,
So you should, if you went across once and then back, that's the 3rd row. Because you can just count the loops. So I have 1, 2, and 3.
so we went across, we
counted the foundation.
we counted the foundation, we did 1 row over, and then we came back, and that's 3.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought we were doing 4 rows.
No, it's 3. Sorry.
It's the foundation and two rows?
Yeah. I mean, if
Oh.
you want to do 4 rows, that's fine too. Like you can, it's flexible because you can do as many rows as you want and then switch to a garter and then do rows of stocking stitches again. You kind of want it to be consistent, whatever you do, as much as possible. It's kind of forgiving. You usually don't notice when you look at the scarf in the end if you messed up and did 4 rows one time instead of 3 or something like that. So do people want me to go on with the other stitch now, the garter?
No,
No? Okay.
How are you doing, Pam?
Fine.
Is it working?
Yep.
So our working yarn should be back to our right. Is that correct?
Yes.
I see the scarf already.
Just in case.
Once we get past the next row, then everybody can work on as they want, and then we can catch the other people up if they're behind.
FYI, apparently there's a huge internet outage going on the East Coast right now. It's affecting Zoom. It's affecting Zoom, which we seem to be fine with right now, and people who have Verizon. So,
Oh, well,
Oh, that's me.
we have Verizon, and my daughter was texting me earlier. She was having problems on her Zoom, so I don't know.
just in case anybody's like, if you fall off or anything happens, that might be what it is.
Yeah, I had to just go set my modem again. Yeah.
Okay, so you want us to stop when we get our
When you get to
working
the
yarn
that
right.
third row. Yeah, once you're back there, stop, and I'll show you the other stitch.
Well, mine is not great, but I've taken it apart twice.
Okay. Well,
So I'm hoping
I don't think mine's right, but
along.
I do have a hard
we need.
stop. I do have a hard stop at 2:00 today because
Okay.
I have a conference call for work.
But this
Okay.
this whole thing is being videoed, right? So, or
Right.
recorded. So
Yes.
we'll be able to replay it.
Yes, and also there's a link in the description or in the chat window that is to our website, which also has a written and a video tutorial also for this project. So
Is that
be sure you click on that link before we close out, and you can save it in case you want to go there.
Yeah, and it has individual tutorials for how to do the stocking stitch and the garter stitch too.
Yeah.
And this one is the stocking stitch, right?
The first one we did is stocking, and now we're going to do the garter. Okay, so now you're going to just keep working the same way, taking the next loop in your working yarn, but instead of going from backwards to front, the garter stitch is simply going from front to back. So I take this next loop and I put it through front to back. And then I work across the same as we just did for the other 2 rows. And we push the next loop through from front to back. And it makes it easiest if you lay your working loops across your project like this so that you can see them and make sure you get the right ones. And then just push it through front to back and front to back until you get all the way across.
See, I have a question.
Yep.
I'm probably gonna have to start it all over, but I ended the one side, where are you? It has, I missed a stitch or something and stuck out.
I can't see your work.
You
Oh,
know what I'm saying? At the end, when I turned or whatever.
yeah. Oh,
So-
did you miss a stitch before you came back?
I guess I didn't know. I looked and oh my gosh, yeah. So I'm just gonna go backwards.
You can always, if you miss that stitch there, you can always just loop 2 in at the end.
You can do what?
You can loop both of them in together, put the one loop through two
Oh, okay. Okay.
to pick it up.
Well, I'm already down.
If you don't want to take it all back out.
Well, only in the second row, so that.
So you can
But I'm going
see,
to get there.
you see this is now what mine looks like. And you can see it's more, but this third row is more lumpy.
Mhm.
Okay. But if you turn your work over, you can see that your lumpy, your first two rows look lumpy from the back. So it's basically these two stitches are just opposite of one another. And that the pattern for the rest of the scarf is simply do 3 stocking stitch rows and then 1 garter stitch row, and then 3 stocking, 1 garter, 3 stocking, 1 garter, all the way until you either get to the length of the scarf that you want, or you use up all your, pretty much all your yarn.
So now, once you do the garter stitch, then you just, then you just kind of curve around, right? With the
Well,
next
then you
one?
just go to the next row and you start doing the stocking stitch again. So we start going from back to front again.
Okay.
For the next 3 rows, we just do back to front. And then you go back to 1 row of garter, which is front to back. So we just, and
Would it
that's
be
the whole,
easier
that's
just
the,
to turn the project over for that one back to front?
no, you never turn, for loop yarn, you never turn your project over. You always keep it facing toward the same side facing towards you. That's a difference than in, you know, like in regular knitting, you actually turn your project over. But in loop yarn, you keep everything facing same way.
I was wondering the same question too. What would be the difference? Okay.
And for this scarf, you can do pretty much whatever pattern you want. So, you know, you could do 5 rows of stocking and 1 row of garter, or, you know, you could do multiple rows of garter, or it's all up to you. You can make whatever pattern you want. The important thing is that you can't just do all stocking stitches all the way up your scarf. Okay. And the reason for that is that if you do that, the whole scarf will curl on itself and it will end up being a little ball. And
What is
actually,
what is
sorry,
the prettier stockings? What is the prettier style? Is it
what is
the prettier style? Do 3 stockings?
well, I like the 3 and then the 1. So that's why that's what I was suggesting. But I'm just saying you could make them in different patterns if you want.
Okay.
You know, if you want to do another one, I would suggest just do the 3 and 1 for this. And then if you decide to maybe do another scarf later, you could always do it a little differently and experiment. But you have to, I think I have one. Oh, here it is. Oops, sorry. So here's a scarf I made as a sample, and this one is all stocking stitch, right? And it's a kid size scarf, but you can see it all just curls up onto itself when you do just stocking. So,
Oh yeah.
so you have to switch. You have to put garter stitch in there every once in a while at least. And here's another one I made. And this is with, this is a Crayola yarn, and it's a much smaller skein of yarn. So I was making these smaller and they were more for kids. So that's one.
You did that with a 4H, right?
Yeah, I didn't, but the other lady did it.
Some of them did it. Okay.
Yeah. So this one, I think I alternated there's only like 2 rows of stocking and then a garter. So you can see that it's just a little bit different pattern. And then This one even has some that I think has more like 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's like 4 rows and then garter. So it's, you know, they're all pretty. And if, you know, I've messed up too. And if you don't realize, oh, wait, I did 4 rows instead of 3 rows one time. Usually, you know, when you look at the scarf later, you might see it, but it's like one of those things, you know, like when you do cross stitch or other things or quilting, and you see every mistake you made, but other people don't see it. So,
And that's a good thing.
yeah. So you can just keep going with your three rows and then 1 row of garter.
It's 1 row of garter. Now you go back to the other.
Then you go back to 3 rows of stocking and then 1 row of garter.
I seem to have picked up a stitch somewhere.
Yeah, that's it.
I did too, somehow.
Oh yeah, every once in a while it's good to count. Make sure you still have only 10.
I don't know how you do that. How did I pick up a stitch though?
You have
Whole
an
nother
extra
one.
1 in the row instead of 10. You have like 11 instead of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well then you probably missed you missed one of the loops in the working yarn and it's in between there. So you probably have an extra loop of working yarn that you forgot, that you didn't work into one of the stitches.
Is that where there would be kind of like a little hole, maybe?
It could be, yeah. Yeah, a hole might be bigger there too.
Okay.
So
In order to fix that, one way to fix it is that extra loop, you can put them together, and then when you're coming back the other way and you're by that stitch, you just put your loop, your working yarn loop through both
Okay.
through both loops, and then that kind of will put them together. So then you get rid of that extra loop, and it's kind of, it should be pretty hidden then.
and now we're going from the back to the front or front to the back.
Well, you do the 3 rows, 3 more rows of back to front, and then you do 1 row front to back again.
The garter is front to back.
Yes, front to
And
back.
now,
Yes.
and now we go from back to, we pull them front to back.
Yep. Then you just go back to the stocking again and do back to front.
Back to front.
Yeah. Well, after you've done the 1 row of garter.
Okay. And you say to get rid of it, kind of double up.
Yeah. If you have an extra one, you can double, like wherever that extra loop is, you have to figure out where it is. And then you can just put them together and put 2 loops on the 1 working yarn loop.
Is that 11?
Yeah, you should. Yeah, if you have 11, you can do that if you messed up. So I now have 1. No, that's the 1, 2, 3. So I have 3 more of the stocking stitches again. And so then I'm going to take my yarn and put it across the front and start working from front to back again.
So the stocking is back to front and the garter is front to back.
Yes.
I'm kind of finding it helps to know how to count.
Good skill.
I've been counting every row. After I'm done doing a row, I count.
I am too, but that doesn't mean I'm doing it right.
I know. I just ended up with a couple extra loops, so I'm going to go back and start that row again.
And you know what? Right now, almost missed one of the working yarn loops. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes one will be hiding, and
Yeah.
that could cause an extra loop on your thing.
Yep.
Well, then you'll have less loops. When you count, you'll only have 9 if you miss one.
No. I mean, the working one, I skipped one.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
it'll
that's
get-
what happened to me, so that's why I had extras.
Yeah.
it hides.
Yeah.
Oh, for crying out loud.
And don't feel bad. I have to pull it out myself. So because I mess up and be like, oh, I missed that. 3 rows back.
Are you able to do this and watch TV?
Oh yeah, I do.
You do? You can count and do it?
Yeah.
But you really don't have to count. You
You
know,
only have
after,
to count at the end of the row.
yeah, you know.
So Chris, do you ever,
I don't.
well, now I lost my question. Boy, I am so senile.
Okay, I have 11.
Oh, okay.
too.
I know what my question was. I remember now. Do you ever do more than one garter row at a time?
Well, you can, yeah. But
I mean,
it's if that's the pattern you want to make on your scarf. But look at this. See? I have an extra loop,
Oh,
like 4 rows back.
The teacher made a mistake.
There you go. I was just wondering, why do I have 11? But because I haven't been counting.
you're making us all feel better. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're
no,
welcome.
I'm sure she did that on purpose.
I told you, I have to take this out myself when I do it. So don't feel bad. It's just like regular knitting. You have to rip it out, rip it.
Same
Like
way
a
with
frog.
quilting, right?
They call it frogging because it's rip it, and they call it frogging. Frogging your work.
I never heard that before.
Yes, in crochet and knitting.
It's very therapeutic, this is.
Yeah, once you catch on to it, it's easy.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's just in the beginning. But then
Yeah.
she does some other things too with a cross stitch, or what is it, Chris? Crisscross?
There's a different stitch called the crisscross stitch, and it makes a really pretty pattern and I made a cowl, or you can make a scarf with that. But that's a more complicated stitch.
Ooh, are we gonna do another one with that? Another seminar with that?
I don't know, but you can go on our website and there's a tutorial and a video on how to do that one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm one of those that ended up with 11 stitches, and I haven't doubled up, but all that means, can you hear me?
You can just keep going with your 11.
Yeah, because all it means is I'm just a little bit wider, right?
Right, yeah.
Right, but
Okay.
on the back, you probably have an extra loop hanging around somewhere.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Oh, right, okay.
I too have 11 stitches.
Yeah, that's
so if you look in the back, there might be a stitch.
Oh yeah,
back there.
there's a big one way at the beginning, darn it.
So there's a trick you can, if you have that, you can kind of just tie it, maybe wrap it around and maybe tie it off onto one of the other stitches and try to hide it.
That's like something like around it, like tuck it in and stuff.
Yeah,
do you cut it? Do you cut it, Chris, or do you just?
You have to be careful if you cut it. You could cut the top of the loop off, but don't get too close down there because you need those the bottom of the loop to stay attached to itself.
Yeah, but I mean, can you cut it and tie it?
Yeah, you could cut you could either cut the loop
top.
open and then tie it to something, you know, the ends to there, or weave them in. You can weave them in between and stuff. So those are some
When
tricks.
do we do that? Do we do it now or what?
Yeah, well, I would wait till you can do that at the end. You can even just leave it because, you know, it's on the back.
Okay,
And
I'll leave it.
And most likely people are not going to notice it hanging, that extra loop hanging out there when you're wearing your scarf.
Yeah, one of those things you know, but they won't.
I have a question.
Yep.
Can we do alternating, like 3 stockings once and then 2 stockings the next time, and then alternate with 3 again?
Sure. Yeah, if you like that pattern better, that's fine. You can pretty much do any pattern you want, but you just want to make sure that you're at least alternating to a garter stitch, you know, maybe every 5 rows at the most. I haven't really tested it to see how many I can go before it starts curling on itself, you know. But if you notice it started curling on itself, then you know, oh, wait, I didn't do it quite often enough. So I think when I did this the first time, I was able to get the scarf done in a little over an hour.
Oh my goodness.
The whole scarf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But then, you know, we spent a lot of time like figuring out how to do the beginning, you know. I just went shh and started going, you know. So
Why is it that I have 11 again? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
10. Yay.
I guess everybody's making progress though.
I think so.
Slow but sure. I think.
Well, you know what? Chris has been making quite a few things with this loop yarn, so she's pretty fast at doing it.
Yeah. I've made blankets. I've made a blanket and a couple
pillow.
scarves. Let me go get the other scarf. I'll be
How
back.
about your pillow? You have a pillow you made.
I think the key here is laying it flat and keeping it flat. And then how she showed us how to, you know, change the direction of the working yarn.
Yeah.
That's really helping me keep the right number of loops in a row.
So, can you guys see this here?
Oh,
So
Oh,
pretty.
nice.
Oh, look how
that's
pretty.
pretty.
Wow.
That's a blanket, and this is we have a tutorial on how to do this on our website, and that's with the loop yarn.
And that's with the loop yarn also?
Yeah, and it's basically you do a few five rows of one color, and then 5 rows of the next color, and then you switch the colors.
Wow.
So it's using 3 different colors of yarn. And then I made this heart pillow, which is perfect for Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
And there's a
I've seen that
tutorial
one.
for this on our website
how
too.
pretty.
But then now that takes a bunch of different skeins.
Yes.
The blanket, yes, takes quite a bit of skeins.
Mhm.
This heart pillow was done, I think, with like a skein of white and a skein of pink. So, and I can't figure out where my crisscross scarf is.
Probably in the sleeve of a coat.
Yeah. All right, so I need to show you how to bind off at the end. And if you forget, just go to our website and you can, or come back to this video and you can see it, because we only have 8 minutes left.
Well,
So,
we can stay on after you leave.
yes.
And Annette, can you stay on, or do you need to leave too?
No, I'm gonna have to leave because I watch my great grandson this afternoon, and I always watch him in the afternoon. And so I'm gonna have to leave also. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Pam.
That's why I have it at 1 to 2 so that I can get there on time.
So Pam Bent, you're in charge.
I've never met these before. I'm just like you.
Twice.
All right, well, you have a link in the chat to our tutorial, so make sure you save that. And so then if you forget or whatever, you need more instruction, go to that tutorial or come back to this video again that Tuki will post.
Okay.
So,
now, has anybody ever knitted before though?
Not me.
With regular knitting needles?
45 years ago.
Yeah, maybe a long time ago.
The binding off is well, it's not really like it, but it's sort of the same kind of thing. It's not hard.
Okay,
right.
so what are you going to do?
If you see my project here,
yes,
I have my working yarn off to the one side. Now it doesn't matter, you can bind off with your working yarn on either side, but you want to just start the bind off from the opposite side of your working yarn. Okay. And then all it is you take the first loop and the second loop, right? Going across, and you pass the second loop through the first loop and pull.
Okay.
So you see?
Yeah.
And then you take the next loop and put it through the third loop through the second loop and pull. And then the next one, each one, it's kind of opposite. You're kind of going backwards and pulling it through, right?
Okay.
And you go all the way across.
Wait, can you say you take the first loop and put it through the second loop?
No, the second loop goes through the first one.
Okay.
Third goes through the
So you're taking the one, whichever direction you're working towards your working yarn, you take the one closer to your working yarn, pass it through the loop to the other side, to the left. Like, so I'm taking my right hand loop, passing it through the loop on the left and pulling.
All right.
And right hand loop, pass through the loop on the left.
Okay.
All the way across. Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So then that makes this nice little finished edge.
Right.
So then it's finished. And then you take your scissors and you can carefully cut the loop open. I don't have my scissors. So you can carefully cut between the next loop. Like, this is my last loop in my work, but the next loop in your working yarn, between those two loops, you can cut it off. Right. And then I have this loop still. and I'm going to cut that open. So now I have a little bit of strand of yarn, and then you take that and you tie, you know, with a little knot, like a slip, you know, a regular knot that everybody always makes, you know, go through and go through and knot that off a couple times. And that just holds that loop down. So then that's done. And now you just have this, and this end you can weave in. Sort of like we talked about weaving in those stray loops that we had. So I just weave it up and down between several of the loops, and then then you'll be finished.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that, of course, yours will be much longer before you finish it off.
I got a hot pad.
Yeah.
Hi, can you show one more time? How do I end it? How do I use?
Yeah, just a minute.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question just to review? So we do 3 of the stocking and 1 of the garter, and then 3 of the stocking and 1 of the garter. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The whole way up. And you do that until you get to the length that you want the scarf. And usually I end with a you know, some stocking stitches at the end, because the loop off or the bind off seems to look more like the garter stitch.
Okay.
So it kind of blends in that way.
So I started at the wrong end though to bind off, because I should have started at the end opposite of my working loop, my working yarn.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So if your working yarn is on the right, start on the left.
Okay.
And then you take the first 2 loops and you pass the second loop through the first loop. Joyce, you seeing? And then you take the 3rd loop and pass it through the second loop.
That one more time. I'm not careful. I'm not catching it.
Okay.
Take the
Are you watching?
Yeah.
So we have I'm on the opposite side of my working yarn is over here. Start on the opposite side, take the first loop in that row and the second loop, and take the second loop and pass it through the first loop.
The front?
You're looping them together, so it's not really a front and a back. You're just passing the loop to the left, to the right, through the loop on the left. And you do that all the way across the row.
Does it matter if you go back to front or front to back?
There's not really a front and a, you know, because you're doing it, they're side by side now.
Right.
So I usually pass it through, I guess.
I guess
I
to
go
the front. You're
from
doing
the front.
Okay.
Yeah, I do it from the front to the back. So you just pass it through all the way over.
And then where we started off, you just kind of do the same thing. You just kind of like wind that into it also.
Yeah, then I just cut, you know, I had this extra yarn, and then I can tie off the yarn into this loop, this extra loop that's remaining, and, you know, just put a little knot in there, and then you start to weave, then you weave in the tail. Okay.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. This is going to be fun. I'm going to start mine over because a little
That's what
lumpy in
I'm
the
doing.
beginning.
Yeah, I'm starting mine completely over.
Yeah.
But I've got the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might take a try or two, but you guys will get it. It's,
Yep.
you know. And if you have a problem, you know, go to our thing or come back to this video and, you know, watch again and see what you've missed.
Just a quick question. I have a loop at the very, a strand at the very beginning. What do you do with that?
A strand? What do you mean?